Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. If you thought about podcasting before and realized that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
Hey there, classmates. Tune in to Middle Class Film Class every Monday and Wednesday for weekly movie news, streaming picks, and one deep dive review.
The Batman trailer. There was a teaser, there was a trailer 1, trailer 2, final trailer. I don't know if it's the same one. How many trailers do we need exactly?
Leave an email or a voicemail to join in the discussion.
Bullshit artist.
Yeah, buddy.
That's
right.
You're going full Danzig.
Right, I am. My trans
You
penis
have no
is
power over me.
A man
Joe, come on, boy, let's go. Grass is waiting for you.
with the mind of a child.
Yeah, Cybo Man. He came to see me.
Cybo Man. Comics, right?
Yeah, Cybo Man.
And a doctor
Virtual reality holds a key to the evolution of the human mind.
with a vision of the future.
I have a game in my house that you might like to play. Would you like that? Yeah. Okay. That was really bad. I have different games. I even have one that could help make you smarter.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that would die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Yep.
This week, we're discussing the science fiction horror classic, The Lawnmower Man, starring Pierce Brosnan and Jeff Fahey and others.
And all the rest.
And each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics from the horror and sci-fi genres with a comedic twist. Aaron, how you doing? What's the latest?
Well, first of all, I left the beach where it was 68 degrees after
Yep.
a week to return to a hellscape where it's approximately 114 degrees right now. But don't worry, tomorrow will be 116. And something along those lines for the next 7 to 10 days. Basically, I'm seeing notices from businesses that their ACs are slowly going out. Sorry, due to unforeseen circumstances, we will be closed today. I'm like, oh, shit.
It's a thing. Thank you, climate change. And
Thank you, climate change.
Thank you, Joe Biden. It's all your fault.
Fuck. I blame the Republicans.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. All I can tell you, I was like, okay, so when does it cool down? So I
Yeah.
go 7 o'clock. Oh no, it's actually going to be hotter at 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock, not at 2 in the morning. No. The coolest time will be 6 a.m.
Wonder
So
why.
my AC will basically not be shutting off.
It's an abomination.
I already got the
Abomination.
alert. Warning, you're projected to have an all-time high bill of $600. Yay! And I
What's
have my
going
AC
on?
set on 78, so.
It's a thing. It's a thing we're dealing with. We need to go back to the beach, is the moral of the story.
We need
and
to
just
live at the
there.
beach. I just need to retire and become like a squatter.
Like just break into somebody's house, like a vacation home, and
Well, I don't want to
demand.
break glass or cut myself, so hopefully someone will just leave their mansion unlocked, and I'll
As
just
one
get in
does.
there. As one does.
Sweet Jesus.
Not this one, but perhaps others.
Well, as you know, I'm going on a cruise next week to Alaska, but it's not going to be as cool as I would have hoped. Now, granted, it is July, so it's not going to be Antarctica, but I was hoping for, I don't know, maybe a sweater weather. Not so much.
You ain't going to Iceland. It's just Alaska.
Alaska.
But it'll make up for it with humidity and giant bugs, I assume.
They're underrated in their amount of gigantic mosquitoes that will attack.
I've heard tell they carried off a kitten and a small child.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is a thing.
It's one of the reasons that I haven't gone to Alaska. I want to avoid things that are going to bite me. I mean, Iceland did have midges, but they're mostly annoying.
Now, explain what a midge is, because we've been burned before in this conversation.
Not midgets. Midges.
Who bite people.
Mother calls them no-see-ums. You'll be coming to a wave of these, look like gnats. It's like you're surrounded by gnats if they had vampiric teeth.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden you just feel this beep, beep, bite all over you. So they sell these like net hat things that you can wear because it really doesn't bother your arm as much. They are all over your face.
Right.
But they're microscopic. Yeah.
It's a bummer.
So you don't swell up like a mosquito bite. Instead, it's like,
right. In your mouth, in your nose.
Down your shirt. I mean, mother effer.
It's a nightmare. And now, that being said, not quite so much as the nightmare as our next film. Give us your 30-second synopsis of The Lawnmower Man.
Well, contrary to what everyone may think, since this is based on a Stephen King novel, the only thing based on it is the name. It is ridiculous. It is... The only good thing about it is ridiculous early 80s graphics. 80s graphics, coming of age. It stole things from Tron, carnivals, all kinds of nonsense. Logic out the window. What was the movie we watched? Interstellar or whatever it was. What was the one with the Australian dude from The Omen who basically said, you wouldn't understand, it's math.
Oh, Event Horizon.
Event Horizon with Sam Neill. It's kind of that level science. You're like, what the hell?
100%.
This don't make no goddamn. So in the past, we thought how we got into locked computer systems is we had to pretend that we were in a video game and we just twist knobs and that's how you break in. Is that what's happening over in Russia? There are these people in Tron suits turning knobs in this other internet world trying to break, and that's how apparently it works, because literally every one of my bank and every one of my accounts has sent me an apology note. We've been hacked again. You've been compromised again. Mother effer.
Is this your 30-second synopsis or just a rant about nonsense? Anything else?
Basically, there's a special fella with special needs who lives in the shed of a church. He's dressed like Chucky, and he's being abused by the church. And the priest is not sexually abused, but physically abused by a freak.
Don't be too hasty. There's some revelations later in the movie.
Oh, sweet Jesus. So this is the brother of the gardener he works for?
Yep.
Okay, so he's an asshole. He deserves whatever he gets. And basically, little special Chucky just mows the neighbor's lawn all day, every day. I never see him go to a different lawn. And so here's the fascinating thing. A rando is trying to make monkeys super smart so they can play video games better and kill humans. But the monkeys, they get angry. and they want to kill you. So that didn't work. So let's go with a special needs person. We're going to start pumping them up with super brain stuff to turn them into assassins. Quite frankly, and I don't know if this occurred to you, wouldn't it have just alone been a medical break for you if they took someone with severe developmental delays and brought them at least up to average? Don't you think that would be on the cover of every AMA journal? I mean, after he lost his license and was thrown out for being unethical with I'm experimenting on special people.
I have to jump in. Experimenting on special people. They cannot give this guy could not give consent.
He could not give consent.
Good Lord, Pierce Brosnan, you know better than that.
And by the end of this movie, everyone has to have their shirt off and they have to flex like this is like early Playgirl magazine.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Jeff Fahey, one more zoom in on your ass. And by the end, he's just topless. So then Pierce Brosnan says, well, I got to show off my man body rug pretty soon, too. Yeah. And before you know it, it was like buttons started disappearing until it was all the way down at his belly button. Then that was off.
Yeah.
I don't really have time when he was just lighting cigarettes end to end for the whole movie, but whatever, he did it.
It was gay porn all the way. It was Colt Roundup.
Strangely enough, for the 80s, no naked women, just naked men.
There were some boobs. I'm jumping in. This is the longest 30-second synopsis, by the way.
I saw Jeff Fahey's boobs. I saw Pierce Brosnan's boobs. I saw Jeff Fahey's ass about 35 times.
You did see that. But during one of the vigorous lovemaking scenes with the special needs guy, you saw some nipples from the drunken harlot that lives next door. So who the hell knows? This is an interesting neighborhood, by the way. You have like a plantation over here, and then you have like some kind of shanty with the guy coming home from the construction site, smacking his kid around right next door. It's an interesting neighborhood. Anyway,
it's ridiculous.
Had you ever seen this before?
I feel like I did, but like 1,000 years ago. Like probably when it first came out, because I was heavily into Stephen King. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that.
I'm ashamed to admit, this was the first movie that I saw in the theater by myself.
Oh,
by myself. What was I thinking? I cannot comment. Because you're right. When this first came out, it was called Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man. And Steve-O promptly sued the pants off them.
As he should.
As he should have, because it has no resemblance to his short story, The Lawnmower Man.
No.
And if
about a pagan, what is it, a satyr or something like that?
A satyr or something like who would mow your lawn and eat the grass, 100%.
He would bite the heads off the gophers.
Well, one thing that was interesting is that, so watching it this time, I watched it on Tubi, and it was called with ads. This was called the theatrical cut, but I noticed no mention of Stephen King anywhere. Not in the title, not even a story by credit based upon the short, nothing. They excised all of that from it because it's ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. It didn't make it. It literally took every supernatural film from the 80s, slapped it together. It was Tron. It was Scanners. It was Firestarter. It was every bit of Claptrap, shitty movie, any special effect. Yeah, let's add that too.
Well, it's interesting because Jeff Fahey, they were co-leads, Jeff Fahey and Pierce Brosnan. And actually, Jeff Fahey's name came first on the list. And at the time, I'm like, who the heck knew who Jeff Fahey was at this time? He had been in things, but he was by no means like, oh, I'm going to go see the new Jeff Fahey movie. And this is somebody who loves Jeff Fahey.
He negotiated the shit out of that. Hopefully he didn't trade off salary for a piece of this action.
Well, and it also you're damn right about that. Now, the interesting thing about this is Pierce Brosnan was obviously a bigger name than Jeff Fahey, but clearly this was a fallow period. I keep talking about fallow periods for old Pierce. This is after Remington Steele had been canceled, but before he was James Bond. Those few years where he's just like, I got to pay the bills. So
I never liked him in James Bond.
This is an important question.
He's too skinny. He's too thin.
He's very skinny. He's a skinny guy. However, he is kind of, I want to say, charming. He's a charming he's a handsome guy. His issue was that the movies that they gave him were, for the most part, horrendously horrible. Abominations.
Oh, for sure.
That was the biggest issue.
The same thing for the other dude that I really liked. There was the 9th Doctor who gave it a shot, who I thought was fantastic, but we never saw him again. Then it was, dude, I love Timothy, what's his last name?
You have to give me more information.
Dalton.
Yes.
But again, it was a shitty fucking movie.
2 movies. Yeah. So yes, this happened a couple times in the history of cinema.
Dalton was in The Lion in Winter. He's a great actor.
Yes.
These are shitty movies.
He was also in Flash Gordon, so that should tell you something.
Not Flash Gordon.
Not Flash Gordon.
But I like Daniel Craig because
he's great.
He's trim but very I like a masculine James Bond.
Well, he's very buff. I mean, Daniel Craig is almost Fahey level buff. One could argue,
almost,
which was
level.
So. Let me say this really quickly. So, Timothy Dalton, they actually approached him in the late '60s to be James Bond when Sean Connery was leaving, but he's like, I'm 22, I can't be James Bond at this stage of the game. By the '80s rolling around, they wanted Pierce Brosnan to be James Bond, and actually had hired him to do so because he thought Remington Steele was going to be canceled.
Right.
When the producers and the TV executives found out he was going to be James Bond, they renewed Remington Steele for another season and effectively blocked him from being James Bond. Well, and this happened with Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck was going to be Indiana Jones. Same thing.
What?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
What a nightmare.
And the Magnum PI people blocked him. So then we had Harrison Ford.
I can't even. Both of those are nightmare scenarios. No.
Totally. 100%. Now, Magnum PI was a very popular, successful show of the 80s. Iconic, one might argue.
Give a shit. I hate it. I never watched it.
Okay. Fair enough. Remington Steele was a popular show.
Never watched it.
Did you own a TV? Are you aware?
I'm a Luddite.
But you are aware that there was an invention called TV, and on that they showed shows.
I am aware that there was a show called Magnum PI and what hijinks ensued.
Yes.
Same with Remington Steele.
100%. Well, let's abandon that ship and go back to the Lawnmower Man. Highlights. What do you got, Aaron? Let's start with you.
Once again, monkeys. I have strong feelings about monkeys. And then monkeys with bad logic, first of all. I mean, the whole premise that we're going to train monkeys, we're going to make monkeys super smart and teach them to play video games. Why monkeys and not people who are already playing video games?
Okay, unethical person. You start with the monkeys, and when that works, then you move up to human trials. You don't go right to the special needs lawnmower guy out front.
Why is it? I mean, I can understand, okay, you want to make the monkeys smart.
Yes.
But why does it also have to learn how to play video games?
These are in this movie, these were kind of war kind of games is what they were trying to teach them.
Correct.
So that's why. You can't just have them out, give them a gun and say, start shooting. Although that's what happens later in the movie. So who's to say?
Well, I did hear that, and this is one of those people are saying, but somewhere I heard or read that the problem with some of these military weaponry that's set up like video games and then hiring gamers to do it, the issue is they forget that those are real people.
Right.
And so they are not looking out for civilian casualties. It's like when you're playing whatever the game you play, you're just taking everybody out. Who gives a
100%. 100%.
So that's a little bit of a problem when you hire gamers.
Well, it's like if you've ever played Grand Theft Auto, I promise you will run people down just for the fun of it. It unlocks the hidden psychopath clearly hidden within each one of us, I'm sad to say. So it's a thing.
True, but
Yes.
it's because it's not real.
It's because, hopefully.
I mean, I used to play, I was an aide, and the kids were all playing Oregon Trail, and I was in the lab too, so I would play Oregon Trail.
Mhm.
But I would not give them any water, and I would pack ridiculous things, and just to see how soon I can get them to all die.
You're a cruel god. A cruel god.
Oxen, no feed. Let's put really heavy things inside the wagon.
Just for no reason.
We're going to go really fast for a long time. Let's just no stopping.
Something tells me you didn't make it to Oregon, if I had to guess.
I think we went about 10 miles outside of town and everybody was dead.
That was it. Turned to cannibalism just to survive. No, but, and we know this, the 80s into the 90s, people loved apes and monkeys in their movies. Like there were a million different things where it's like we're experimenting on monkeys, the shit's going wrong, and now there are monkeys on the loose coming to get
I
us.
blame Planet of the Apes, and this movie may be what caused them, because now you've made them smart.
Yes.
You've taught them how to play video games. And actually, if they're just playing video games, then they'll be like my son, and they'll just be locked in dark rooms. And that's how we conquered the Planet of the Apes.
With a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew and a bag of hot Cheetos.
There you go. You drink all the Mountain Dew, and then you can fill it up with something else, and you never have to get out of your gaming chair.
Just rinse and repeat. Absolutely.
It's all about the same color.
It's all about the same. No, but the monkey, and we're talking about the monkey's in this movie for about 30 seconds. But I liked how they're doing the things that Pierce Brosnan is arguing with his boss, because he's like, I'm just trying to teach monkeys how to be smart. You guys are trying to train them to be like killing machines and war and all this shit. Now, somebody along the line evidently taught this monkey how to pick a lock with a frickin' paperclip.
Uh-huh.
That happened off. You see this like monkey hand coming out, little monkey's paw coming on, undoing the lock. Good Lord.
I mean, monkeys are smart. So the issue is not that monkeys need to be smart. The issue is monkeys need to think like humans.
Correct.
Because now all of a sudden it's not demanding, a Meister brow and wants to go sit in a hot tub.
Oh, you don't know. You don't know.
Walk like the animals, learn their languages.
Is that a song, or are you making up shit?
That's from Dr. Dolittle.
Oh, with Rex Harrison, the original? Not the Eddie Murphy one, I imagine.
Not Eddie Murphy, probably not.
Oh, God. So Pierce Brosnan's in charge of this program to increase the intelligence of apes, and the monkey escapes, gets into a shootout with the security guards. Such is life. The monkey's no longer with us. So while he's on hiatus, he's like, here is this moronic man-child that lives, that mows everybody's lawns in the neighborhood.
Is that how you describe people when you're at work?
Not to their faces, as far as you know. But you're right. You already mentioned this. This dude, Job, spelled Jobe, because we're all illiterate morons. We'd be calling him Job, I guess, otherwise. He lives in the tool shed behind the church, and he's clearly like 40 years old, right? But
with like a bad perm, because if you have intellectual disabilities, you have to have very dry straw-like hair, or they just ruin Jeff Fahey's hair. They're like, he literally is dressed like Chucky.
I didn't even notice that, but you are goddamn right. He's in full...
The overalls, he's wearing the striped shirt.
Yep.
He is Chucky.
Or maybe 100%.
Chucky is the seed of Fahey.
He's wearing his good guy's outfit, clearly. 100%. I never put two and two together. But what I also know, so his hair is like the scarecrow, like you said. But even pure straw. But even when he has his miraculous, like, 80s montage makeover, his hair is still nuts. This was the Fahey. The Fahey, which I also call the Doris Day, courtesy of Pillow Talk, where it's just the helmet, the blonde helmet coming down. We were like, what in the hell is happening?
Oh my God.
That was not a style in the 90s.
It was such an unnatural color. No human has that color from birth.
100%.
It was the weirdest choice.
Yes, it is. It's unearthly. It's unearthly. Now, let's be honest. We have done a couple Fahey movies. We did Body Parts where he has the exact same hairstyle. So this was just his look. Absolutely.
Dude,
this was just his look. I don't know if it was as blonde. I think they blonded it out for this one for some reason, but it was the same helmet. The same helmet that he has in this movie. I don't know why.
God, I have to go Google him now. What does his hair look like now? Is he dead?
No, he's in the Kevin Costner movie, Horizon or whatever. Does not have the same hairstyle, praise Jesus. So that's something.
I won't be seeing him.
So Jeff Fahey's Job, it works, I guess, for free, mowing people's lawns with the priest's Irish brother. They're both doing the most ridiculous Irish accents. Because, of course.
Because they needed to be Irish because they're Catholic, or?
It's a thing. 100%. And I guess he's constantly getting lashes from the priest for various offenses. It's hard to say what the offenses are. I guess there were some spiders in the church, therefore Job must be punished. It was hard to know what was going on.
It was some kind of weird. Yeah, it was weird.
It was weird. So throughout the movie, it's basically like most people treat Job poorly. The guy at the gas station kind of gives him sass. The priest gives him sass. Who else? There's the drunken construction worker who lives next door who's mean to his son in full view of everybody, like full-blown child abuse, while Jeffrey Lewis and Pierce Brosnan watch and do nothing. Ooh, that's upsetting. Moving on.
I don't know what's wrong with his hair.
It's a thing.
I don't know what's wrong with his hair. Sometimes it looks normal, but even now, with it being gray, it still has some frizz to it.
Well, I
don't know what's happening.
In the 90s, it was a choice. In the 90s, it was early 90s, early to mid. This was a choice that he was sporting. The full helmet. I can't explain it. It was exactly 100%. So while Pierce is on hiatus, I have to talk about his wife, right? He has a nightmare at the beginning of the movie, Pierce Brosnan now. And he rolls over to his wife and is like, honey, I had a nightmare, a bad nightmare. And she's just like, God, I hate it when you smoke in bed. Get the hell away from me. Would you answer the damn phone?
She's had enough of his bullshit.
Clearly.
He's like standing in bed while she's sleeping, just smoking a cigarette.
You knew the wife wasn't going to be there for much longer. There's really no reason why he had to be married. Really. I guess.
And I got confused because why is the neighbor kid hanging out? I thought that was his kid.
No.
I'm like, why are you leaving your husband but leaving your kid with the crazy up all night cigarette smoking alcoholic?
No. He has no children. Now the final straw with that marriage.
His only friends are the intellectually disabled lawnmower man.
Yes.
And the 8-year-old boy who lives next door.
Correct. 100%. Because he's obsessed. He's obsessed with virtual reality.
With children and people with delays.
Oh, there's some question marks. There are definitely some question marks. He is downstairs in his basement doing some kind of virtual reality shit. And his wife comes down and she's like, what the hell? We were to go into town this weekend. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And she just goes, I give up. And then just leaves.
She's like, off.
that was divorce papers back in 91. I give up. And you just
say it 3 times and dissolve.
And dissolve. She's like, I'm leaving town and I'm flying out tonight. And he's like, okay, well, deuces.
See, you got to do
what you got to do. So he takes Job, the neighborhood idiot and plugs him into. He sits him down. How would you like to be smart? Does that sound like good? I mean, it'll have to be our little secret, though, Job. Don't go. If I touch you a certain way, don't tell anybody.
No, too many secrets.
Bad touch. Bad touch. So he's getting his brain fixed, I guess. And at some point, he takes off his shirt because he wants to be like the cowboy guy in some kind of cigarette ad or some shit. It pulls off his shirt, and if
be the Marlboro Man,
he absolutely wants to be the Marlboro Man. He pulls off his shirt, and he is freaking jacked. How would this happen?
By sitting quietly in your shed and mowing the same lawn 7 days a week.
I mean,
it makes no effing sense. Again, it makes no sense that everyone, including the priest, eventually all have their shirts off.
The priest did not.
When he caught on fire, his shirt was off.
He did take his shirt off because he was on fire. I cut him some slack at that point. But that's the thing. It would have been very easy to be like, because of the injections that Pierce Brosnan's giving him to make him smarter, now he's like jacked. But no. That's not it. He just has good genes, I guess.
He wasn't bitten by a radioactive spider.
No, he was not. He is jacked. And he buys, with the money that I guess the priest has been withholding him, he goes to the local cowboy outfitters.
Okay, he has to threaten to beat the shit out of the priest, who is trying to beat him again for doing who knows what.
For being naked in his own, having his shirt off in his own room. It's like, he could have just been changing.
And looking in the mirror.
Well,
it's a sin!
Granted, we know that he was just looking at his own good stuff, but he could have just been changing. He could have just had a shower. He could have been doing any number of reasons why his shirt was off. That is instantly making a sin, as far as I know.
It's a sin.
It's a sin. So he goes and gets like some kind of alligator boots and a big old belt buckle and a skin tight, like Wrangler jeans. And of course, now the neighborhood floozy's like, who's that guy?
They must have had 50 shots of Fahey's bubble butt in this.
Yes. Well, she's sitting in her car getting her oil, her fluids. She says, "Will you check my fluids?" She makes some comment like that. And then looks in her side view mirror, and it's just an ass. It's just, we're like, whoa, what's this? Turns around, and there's Jeff Fahey, like, back arched, butt hanging. Now, granted, it was his jeans, but nonetheless, she was in at that point.
And sure they weren't Jordache jeans?
Sergio Valente. Go ahead.
Friend.
Please.
I have a little problem.
Lay it on me.
At this point, he's been getting his treatments for some time.
Yes.
And his intellectual level has shot way up.
Yes.
Yet, his processing speed has not caught up with that. Because it's still, I'm going to ask you a conversation while I stare blankly at you while the synapses are trying to fire across.
Well,
I'm like, if he's so smart, I mean, I suppose you could just have a slow processor.
Correct.
That doesn't mean you're a ding-dong.
Right.
But I thought with all this new technology, some of that might speed up a little bit.
I think it takes its time. I mean, it's a slow burn. He goes from, I need to be taken care of, although he is not. He's just thrown in the tool shed. To now he's a man about town.
Man about time, but which is interesting because they give him a shot and then he visualizes pentagrams being shoved inside his head.
It's virtual reality, yes.
Weird drawings crammed in because that's how humans learn.
Correct. They give him a shot of some kind of purple liquid. And then later in the movie, when the bad guy changes like the shots, it's like a totally different color. It's like the evil vials or the red vial. What, no one noticed? You can't see the difference between the purple and the red vials? That's neither here nor there.
And if he's so smart, why is he literally now just shooting himself in the neck over time? Poof, doof, doof, doof.
That would seem to be a bad move.
That doesn't seem so smart.
100%. 100%. And let's go back to the neighborhood floozy because he still looks the same. It's not like he had one of those 80s montages where suddenly it's like, ooh,
He's
you're
wearing
looking
shoulder pads and a skinny top.
right. It's not Ali Sheedy at the end of Breakfast Club. He still looks the same. He's the same drooling imbecile that he was at the beginning of the movie. But now she's like, oh, damn, because you bent over that time. Now I'm in.
Yeah. It's like
Now I'm
making
in.
the mad love to Forrest Gump.
But it was. It was. And the scene where they finally shag, she's up on her balcony with like some lemonade. Hey, sailor, want some lemonade? Smash cut to there. She is naked and they're getting down. Like there was no foreplay. It was
That's
like
why
lemonade.
he was only mowing that lawn.
And then he really was mowing that lawn, if you know what I'm saying. Boom.
And quite frankly, I don't know, speaking of the actual lawn, did you happen to notice that really they were just scalping the grass
Yes.
right off of it?
100%.
I'm like, what are we paid for? It would like, they would mow it and just dirt would be behind.
That's called tilling the soil at that
As
point.
if Jeff Fahey has never seen a lawn. Well, maybe he hasn't.
Maybe he
He's
hasn't.
been so successful, he's always had a gardener.
Well, I think earlier they kind of toyed with the idea that he was kind of like Rain Man, right? Like he had special savant abilities because he could he built Big Red, like the supercharged lawnmower with like exhaust tubing that he could use later. It's just a lawnmower. How much more advanced does it need to be? Let's be honest.
Especially when it's scalping the lawn.
Yes.
That doesn't sound like genius to me.
No, it doesn't. So again, at some point, we're supposed to be sympathetic to Job. But are we supposed to also be on Pierce Brosnan's side? Because in this viewing, I'm like, oh, you're a bad dude for taking advantage of this poor bastard.
Right. When did we ever feel good about Pierce? When he was just lighting cigarettes from end to end? Here we go.
Right. Well, by the end of the movie, he's like, I'm putting down the cigarette and blowing out the match. Because now I've learned my lesson. I'm part of the resistance.
That's part of the it's bullshit. It's bullshit and nonsense.
Oh, 100%. So what we discover is that the guys running the institute where Pierce Brosnan was doing his work is really like what? Some super secret government assassin play? I mean, like that's what we're supposed to think. Like you can't, if you quit, it's not like you can't just take your knowledge to some other business. We may kill you. We're going to abduct you and we're going to abduct Job and turn you into our slaves. Is that what we're supposed to think? Like they're evil.
Well, I mean, it just seems the way government's always bad and business is always bad.
100%.
A life lesson that no one ever learns.
Right.
I don't believe it. This is RoboCop.
Yeah, it is. It is.
This is the first wave, though.
So Jeff Fahey eventually becomes smart, normal intelligence, and then becomes super smart and gets like psychic abilities. And later his powers include turning people into crazy like bubble things that float around. The effects in this movie are god-awful.
They're like, look at this weird effect that we've created. Let's use that 100 times.
Oh, 100%.
Let's use that 100 times. When in reality is, why don't you just make them disappear? Why don't you just...
Or
gone,
scanners,
gone.
or well, it depends.
He was already doing the scanners. Whenever, like in these movies, anyone touches their head to concentrate, you know someone's head is popping off pretty quick.
Yes, 100%. So he's now super smart, and he can also can read people's minds, like Professor X, and he moves shit around a little bit, and now because
they shit around a lot.
And then move shit around a lot, 100%. Well, they switch because the evil bosses are like, hey, we don't give a damn about him being smart and having special powers. We want to know that he is evil. So give him the special evil shot. Give him the super aggressive shot. I'm sure it'll be great.
The most important thing that we're learning is how to turn people evil. And quite frankly, seems like there's just enough. I mean, they're not really evil. I mean, they're not the devil. They're just bad. They're bad people.
They're bad people. They're bad
And
people.
I feel like if you just put an ad in the paper for bad people, there's enough that would just show up.
Just go to a Raiders game, for God's sake.
Go to the Raiders game. I'm a little bit bad, but I'd be willing to learn. You know what? I would, Dishonest John, Snidely Whiplash. Do I get a black mustache?
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
Look at Star Wars. There are people manning the Death Star. Were they only following orders? They've made a choice. They chose a side.
100%. 100%. So at the end of the movie, who are you rooting for?
I gotta go back about what I just talked about. Do you remember the Saturday Night Live skit? And it was the families of some of the servicemen on the Death Star at home having coffee, visiting with family.
I do remember
that Johnny's not coming back.
Because the Death Star exploded.
Yeah. Genius.
They couldn't all be evil. What if you're just working like janitorial on the Death Star?
Hey, I'm not political, but they were hiring at Auschwitz. Is that what you're saying?
I wasn't trying to say like
that. Was a nice car, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't got anything against those folks. But my wife likes nice things. And so when I saw an ad in the paper to work at a death camp, I just signed up.
This isn't Zone of Interest, for God's sakes. Sweet Jesus. Let's get this train back on the tracks. I mean, we've kind of skipped over this. The special computer effects of this movie are an abomination. They're horrendous. They're ridiculous. They're like Pac-Man level. This is the 90s, for God's sakes. This isn't 72 or something.
72.
Sweet Jesus.
Dude, we saw Logan's Run. I think the effects were better there. This is the 90s. So they've had all the 80s songs. They had Money for Nothing, Chicks for Free. They've had MTV. They got graphic arts going on here.
They do. Jurassic Park was like, what, a year or two later?
Oh.
So...
That's a shot fired. How about that?
That's what I'm saying. So,
like, we ain't got no Jurassic Park money.
Clearly not. So at the end of the movie, okay, Job is now, his plan is to put his brain into the computer.
Yeah, he uploaded himself into the computer.
Oh, and you heard a slurping sound because his body gets slurped up into the computer. So it's like literally not just his mind. Please.
We gotta back up.
Go for it.
Because before that, we need to talk about the graphic computer graphic sex scene with AI sperm spilling everywhere.
There was that did not happen. There was
no wrong. They were having internet sex.
Yes, they were.
And then right at the one moment, the sauce enveloped the wall, and she was stuck in the.
Oh God!
That was AI sperm. You need to go back and rewatch that. You need to see it. And then she was stuck in it.
Yeah, she was stuck in it. She was stuck in it.
What did you think that was?
I didn't know I didn't realize it was that. That's for sure.
They were having sex.
Yes, they were. Well, that was the thing. They had so much sex in the real world that Job's like, I can't get it up the regular way anymore. I got to take it to a new level. So he takes the neighbor to. By the way, is there no security guards? Job could just stroll in there with some chick and be like, "We're going to be in here using the top secret shit. Is that cool?" Okay.
And he sexed her to death.
He sexed her. Her mind was blown.
Her mind was blown.
Literally.
After she drowned in AI sperm. Help!
So, yes. That's something, now that you mention it, something like that did occur. And
then he starts doing scanner shit.
Yes. Well, he didn't realize he was gonna F her brains out. Didn't realize that was what was gonna happen.
I guess he ain't so smart.
Not so smart after all. So the rest of the movie, she's like just kind of a laughing fool, I guess is what we're supposed to think. I mean,
I always worried about this in movies. In movies since like the 20s, when someone loses their mind, they're always laughing.
Yes. Is that not how it is?
What the hell is that from? Because most of the people that I see are not laughing with mental illness.
You know what it is? I'll take your word for it. Now, here's the thing. Is it like a drama? Then they're sitting in the corner crying. If it's meant to be a little lighter, then they're laughing. I think is what it is.
No, I'm talking about even old school Dracula. Renfro was always like,
First of all, who's Renfro? There's no Renfro.
Renfield,
There's
you
no
bastard.
There's no Renfro.
Yes, that is his brother.
Renfro Redfield.
Dude.
No. But later they talk about that she was found wandering the streets bone-ass naked. So who knows what's going on? Laughing. So later in the movie, Job is like now going and getting revenge on everybody that ever wronged him.
Starting with the naked priest.
The naked priest, who I quote talks about, because he starts doing like his confession as he's like being immolated. And one of the things he literally says is like, forgive me for cruel acts of molestation. Boom. They knew. That's right. Spotlight. They knew even then what was going on in the church. So there you go. Such
then
is life.
I have this note down here. Then why did he then take his clothes off?
He was on fire.
No.
He's like,
before he got on fire, he's literally standing there in white boxer shorts.
Because it was late. It was
in
late.
The name of the church.
Yes.
So if you're a priest and you hear someone Jimmy in the lock, you just stroll out in your chonies.
He had some kind of a cape or something on when he first came
Was he
out.
Batman? Well, he had no cape.
He was more like James Brown.
Did he have leotards? What is it? I was like, because I wrote down, I said, oh, Lord, even the priest is taking his shirt off.
He took it off. No question.
He didn't want to be stood up by Fahey and Pierce. He's like, I can do it too.
So he gets killed. The dude at the gas station, I guess he's killed. It's hard to know. They don't even reference him later. Like somehow there's like a lawnmower in his brain. Like, but it was like
various people are killed by lawnmowers that seem to fly.
That's correct. Well, and that's important. So he goes to the neighbor's house, the abusive, drunken construction worker, and sends in his crazy big red lawnmower, which cuts through wood, steel, whatever's in the way. And this scene was the one scene directly lifted from the short story, where the person is killed by a lawnmower. And when they talk to the cops, they're like, where's the rest of his body? Bird bath. That is actually word for word from the short story.
That's the one line from the short story.
That's what they tied it in. That's what it is. So that's why it's Stephen King's Lawnmower Man.
And this is where we learn who Jeff Fahey is now dressed as one of the young X-Men.
Correct.
Wander around town and can just get people to change their minds. So he's no longer just reading the minds, but pushing thoughts. So the police were like, well, that just about wraps this up. This clearly is just an accident. We'll shut all this down.
Yes.
Ciao.
Well, then why not do that? Like, there's a scene where they're trying to where he's going and invading the frickin' the government, whatever it is, the compound to get to the machines. And there are all the guys there with the machine guns. And he sends like a swarm of bees to attack them for some reason. I don't know. It's like the swarm. Who the hell knows?
Back up a little bit.
Please.
Because if he accessed the mainframe with his mind,
yes,
why would he ever need to go to the headquarters?
Well, because he can't access it until he goes to the headquarters. So he's going to the headquarters to plug himself into the crazy Cirque du Soleil machine with the VR headset.
He had already uploaded himself in the doctor's garage.
No, he hadn't. He just got more information in his brain. Like, that's how they knew what the plan was, I guess.
You're a house of lies.
I'm telling you.
I cry bullshit.
Okay, well, that's allowed.
I don't know if you know this.
Yes.
Like, I'm on Google.
Yes.
But to access Google, I don't have to drive to the Bay Area.
Well, this was a different time, Aaron. Okay.
But he was clearly accessing the information that the doctor had in his office at headquarters from the doctor's basement.
But the basement wasn't the headquarters. It wasn't the full. That's why
It was not the headquarters. But see, through the magic of the internet, you could access faraway places.
that is true. But not everybody was connected to the actual World Wide Web in 1991.
So are you saying, because we're just talking about a doctor,
Yes.
a research doctor.
Correct.
Are you saying that he took like 20,000 floppy disks and loaded those all up with the crap he had at headquarters and then loaded that into the mainframe he had at his house?
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about anymore.
Back in the old days, you had to have disks.
No, I know how it used to work. No, there was a point where he had done all he could do at the house and had to move the stuff, the rest of the process to the main facility. Okay, so that's why suddenly everything was at the main facility. Like at one point, he
was having internet sex.
Not
at the doctor's house.
No, that's not true. That is not true. He took her to the. That's what I was saying. He took her all the way to the main place, and nary a security guard met them. They don't have the full circle. All they have in the doctor's basement is that weird floating thing that he like lays down on and shit. When they're up in the the gyroscope things, that's at the compound.
Well, how come the fucking compound looks exactly like his dirty old basement?
It doesn't. I watched the movie 5 minutes ago. You watched it 2 weeks ago. I think that's the bone of contention. That's
either way. It's still too soon.
It is. That is true. Ain't no lie. Oh, sweet Jesus.
Anyway, Jeff Fahey's on a murderous lawn mowing spree.
Yes,
but nary a drop of blood touches him.
Well, because he's standing outside and using his psychic powers to move the lawnmower in and start zapping people, right?
Even though we know he has the power to just dissolve you with a look.
Correct. If he wants to, he can make a big old crazy head appear and then look at you, and then you turn into like some bubbles and float away.
Ridiculous.
I can't explain it. It makes no GD sense.
It's like Underworld, where they do that cool drop thing when they drop from high distance. So then they have to do that like 50 more times in every one of the other movies.
Yes.
This is the bubble thing.
Well, and what's interesting to me is that if you haven't seen the movie, you have no idea what the hell we're talking about. This is all just gibberish.
Well, I think it's always gibberish when you have no idea what people are talking about.
That 100%. On that we can agree. So Jeff Fahey goes to the compound to hook himself up to the main database.
He needs more juice. He needs to get into the Matrix.
Correct. If he hooks himself up to the database at this place, it's attached to 5,000 other databases and 5,000 so on and so forth. So he gets there, hooks himself up, and immediately it slurps him out like he's a milkshake. So now it's like a skinny, like empty suit just floating there. Pierce Brosnan is there to blow up the place. So he set bombs everywhere. And for some unknown reason, then hooks himself up to the machine to have a little conversation with Job.
100%. I was like, what?
Why?
First of all, can't you just turn the power off this motherfucker?
Pull the plug.
Pull the fucking plug.
Yes. 100%. Well, he was able to hack into the mainframe, the database, from his house. Tap, 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 tap. Hey! Some other random dude who we've never seen before was like, hey, somebody's hacked us, sir. I don't know how they did it, but now we're totally cut off.
Yeah, it's magic. It's magic.
100%. So Pierce Brosnan is a hacker now. So that's good to know. This movie.
Well, Jeff Fahey's a god, so it all makes sense.
Well, and that's the thing. He says when he has taken over all of the computers on Earth, or all the machines, I don't know, then he will cause all the phones to ring at the same time all across the Earth. And that's what he does.
And then that will be annoying to
And
everyone.
that'll piss everybody off. Now,
and they'll remember Man Chucky.
they did make a sequel to this movie, by the way.
Well, there wasn't. The ending kind of leads to that.
It does. But
like, we know this is going to be good.
Well, what's crazy is typically when a movie's like as foul as this one, they may leave like a few threads dangling for a potential sequel. Like, for example, Death Spa. But then they go, this was a piece of shit. We're never coming back to these threads. Mm-hmm. Somehow, with The Lawnmower Man, they did make Lawnmower Man 2. Although no Pierce Brosnan and no Jeff Fahey.
Whoa.
Shocking.
Is it Sita Fahey?
What they did do is they brought in the guy who played Max Headroom. If you remember that character, he is the new Joe.
I don't know what he actually looks like, though. No, I don't think anybody actually knows what he looks like.
We do, but his name was Matt Frewer, and he was in a number of things in the 80s. He was never a star, but he popped in from time to time.
He was iconic for a time.
For a time. So there you have it. Any other thoughts and feelings about this piece of shit?
I have this note here that says accidents happen. What's that from?
That's when Job uses his mind powers, where they're like, there have been 2 murders in the last 24 hours. Ugh. I mean, there have been 2 accidents in the last 24 hours. Something like that. Something like that. But what's funny, so I have to talk about this. So afterwards, Pierce Brosnan thinks he's blown up Jeff Fahey, and he's like, well, talking to his like journal or whatever the hell, he's like, so I'm gonna bring my studies underground. And he's like, and I'm taking the next door neighbor and the child with me. I guess we're a family now. I don't know why that would be, but that's how we're gonna do it. Let's go.
Yeah. Peace.
It's not an apocalypse. There aren't zombies outside where you're forced. This isn't The Last of Us where you're forced to do this.
But where are you going? You got no money? You've stolen a child?
You've stolen a child.
I mean, what?
No explanation. No. Not necessary.
The end, when they're trying to shut everything down before Jeff Fahey finds a way of escaping the Matrix,
right,
is the most ridiculous thing. And spoiler alert, at the last minute, through twisting internet knobs, a door opens up.
And again, this is a computer. A computer can do all sorts of things nearly instantaneously. It's not like he's going to be like, I got to turn this one. Oh, that's just not working. I'm going to try to turn to this one. I'm doing it really fast.
Access denied. Access denied.
Access accepted. Oh, thank goodness for that. Whew. Thought I was going to blow up. Shall we go behind the scenes?
Please.
New Line Cinema had obtained the rights to the Stephen King short story, The Lawnmower Man. And the producers also had an unrelated script called Cyber God. For economical reasons, they simply placed King's title on the production of Cyber God, and early promotional material with that claim even went public. King was furious at this abuse of his name, and he sued the studio to have his name and title removed from the film and promotion. The studio refused, but was eventually ordered to pay $10,000 and full profits to King. What the hell does that even mean?
$10,000 plus anything this thing made.
Oh, full profits. Oh, yeah, you're right. Good Lord.
So not only are you going to lose everything, you got to pay a little extra on top of that.
A little extra. The 8 minutes of computer-generated effects took 7 people 8 months to complete on a budget of $500,000. Good.
Well, now you know why there's a Lawnmower Man 2, because they made 0 money on Lawnmower Man 1.
That's exactly right. This movie was discovered through FBI tapes that this was former Waco cult leader David Koреш's favorite movie. That's it. That makes a lot of sense, but that sounds ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Let's see.
Unless he is, in fact, Jeff Fahey.
Could be. Jenny Wright, who played Marnie, the oversexed next door neighbor, did only the close-ups in the VR strobe scene because the strobe light made her sick. Her
Oh,
wide-angle
yeah.
shots were done using a double, and the close-ups of her face were done with a blue screen so that she didn't have to move. 100%. I saw that stuff, and I'm like, I'd be yakking my guts out.
Yeah.
I can't do any of that stuff.
No.
We've got one of those, what are they called? MetaQuest VR helmets or whatever, and it makes me ill. It makes me dizzy, and it's not a pleasant symbol.
I remember strobes not bothering me in junior high because they were heavily used at the dances at my junior high, and it was cool. But now it's like,
Job's hair was originally going to be red, but was changed to bleach blonde because red hair didn't look realistic on Jeff Fahey.
Yeah, because that looks realistic. Whatever the that was, the Chucky hairdo. How about just Jeff Fahey's hair? How about that?
Is that too much to ask?
It was unbelievable hair.
Let me see. Harold Parkett, who is the drunken construction worker next door, is the only character in the movie that was in the Stephen King short story that this was loosely based upon.
Oh, Lord.
Dr. Angelo's line, "I've decided to take my work back underground," was used as a sample in the intro track for the music for the Jilted Generation album by The Prodigy.
Oh, good old Prodigy. The Prodigy.
The Prodigy. The shot of Dr. Angelo releasing Job with a badly damaged head from the strobe was done with using a mannequin with a plaster head. Yeah, clearly. Good Lord.
Fooled us. How much of that did that cost? $500,000 too?
It was at least $500,000. A remote-controlled lawnmower specifically built for this film. In another movie adapted from a Stephen King short story, a remote-controlled lawnmower chases a teenager. Do you know what that movie was?
At Pupil.
Yes! Maximum Overdrive, you silly fool. Shall we talk about the cast and crew?
Lay it on me.
This movie was written and directed by Brett Leonard. You know him from such things as Virtuosity. He directed that in 1995.
I don't know that.
He was a clown performer uncredited in Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh.
Hey, in 1988.
Another classic. Not quite as funny as you think it would be.
You're telling me. And he directed the 1995 Jeff Goldblum vehicle Hideaway, which I'm unfamiliar with.
I'm unfamiliar, but if it's got him in it, I'm down.
It must be good then.
Must be.
Looking at the cast, Jeff Fahey played Job Smith. You know him from such things as Lost. He was in 34 episodes as Frank Lapidus.
Never saw it.
He was Ike Clanton in the movie Wyatt Earp in 1994.
Nope, never saw that.
He was in the Lawnmower Man video game for the Genesis in 1993. 100%. And he was McTeague in 2019's Alita Battle Angel.
No, never saw that either.
So I liked him.
He's apparently a stranger.
That is not true. He was in Planet Terror, and he was in Body Parts, for God's sakes.
That's true. Why didn't you mention those then?
Because I only mentioned the first four things that Rotten Tomatoes mentions. Let's see. Pierce Brosnan played Lawrence Angelo, which is bizarre. You know him from The World Is Not Enough in 1999, James Bond.
Yes.
He was in Mamma Mia in 2008, playing Sam.
Never saw it.
He was in Tomorrow Never Dies, also James Bond.
Yes.
And he was Thomas Crown in The Thomas Crown Affair, the remake in 1999.
Never saw any version of that.
Very upsetting.
I apparently don't watch movies.
Apparently don't know anything. Jenny Wright played Marnie Burke, the neighbor, the sassy neighbor. You know her from Near Dark. She was May in Near Dark. She was American Groupie in Pink Floyd The Wall in 1982.
When I saw that, I was like, I know exactly who she is. And then like that's it. There's like she has a very short career.
She was Cushy in The World According to Garp in 1982.
I have almost no memory of Garp.
And she was Jane Greathouse in Young Guns 2 in 1990.
No, I never saw that. But I totally remember her in Pink Floyd. I don't think she had any speaking parts, but she was on it for a little while.
I only really remembered her because she was Rob Lowe's ex-wife in St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh.
There it is.
Okay.
Jeffrey Lewis played Terry McKean, the guy who I guess is the local gardener that Job works for. You know him. He's been in 10,000 things. Number one, he's Juliette Lewis's father. Did you know that? Boom.
What?
I know. It's a family thing.
Dude, why were you letting your 16-year-old daughter date 25-year-old Brad Pitt?
These are important questions. He was in The Way of the Gun in 2000.
No.
He was in the Clint Eastwood movie Thunderbolt and Lightfoot in 1974.
Hell no.
The Devil's Rejects in 2005. And in 1978, Every Which Way But Loose. Yeah. Good stuff. And Dean Norris from Breaking Bad played the director, doing some kind of a crazy British accent. I couldn't understand what was happening. It was very strange. You know him. He was in 61 episodes of Breaking Bad playing Hank Schrader. He was...
Oh, yeah. But it totally looked like that 1984 Apple computer thing where the face is like this big. Because when I'm on a Zoom call, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to have all my meetings now, just like this.
100%.
Yeah.
He was in Terminator 2 Judgment Day playing SWAT team leader in 1991.
Okay.
He was Tony in Total Recall in 1990. That was one of the mutant dude who had kind of a weird brain head.
Dude, you know how much I love Total Recall.
Yeah. Dean Norris was actually in a ton of stuff in the late 80s, early 90s before.
Yes, he is.
Peter, the little boy, I recognized immediately. The actor is Austin O'Brien. Famously, he was in Last Action Hero with Schwarzenegger in 1993.
I mean, I probably saw it, but I have no memory of it.
He was in My Girl 2 in 1994.
I didn't see My Girl 1.
He was in 69 episodes of Promised Land, 96 to 99.
Is that some BYU channel thing?
Could be. BYU channel. Yes, 100%. And The Lawnmower Man in 1992.
Bless him.
Let's look at the ratings, shall we?
Oh, yeah, we shall.
Lawnmower Man, currently 37% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you know what the audience gave it?
41.
31. Looking at the top critics, Vincent Canby of the excuse me, having an episode. Vincent Canby of the New York Times says, "The Lawnmower Man depends mostly on a lot of colorful video game-like special effects. They are very loud, but after a while, the noise and the lights induce a torpor that is quite soothing." So there you go.
Soothing.
The torpor you feel after zoning out is quite soothing, is what he's trying to say. Variety Staff says, "Dazzling computer animation and special effects overcome the Lawnmower Man's mundane story." That's considered a positive review.
Overcome it? Overcome it?
Shocking. What is your rating for the Lawnmower Man?
Well, we got to go back to school because a 30% in my book is an F.
I agree. It is.
So I am for being stupid and ridiculous and bizarre.
Yep.
I am going to give it a 0.5. Someone better run over whoever the writer is of this with their electric lawnmower out of 5.
I mean, at first glance, you're kind of like, this is obviously a 1-star kind of deal. But the issue is it's not really offensive or upsetting in any way. I'm not giving it a...
Unless there's genocide or eyeballs popping and vomit-inducing gore, then we gotta pass it along to the consumer.
I'm not passing it along. I'm gonna give it a 1.5. It's more boring than anything else. It's not it's not the Forbidden Zone, Aaron's favorite film. It's just
dude, that video you just posted, Pico and Sepulveda. That used to be on Dr. Demento all the time.
I'm sure.
There are parts of the Forbidden Zone. I mean, can't you see it just projected on a wall during a party? Fantastic.
I would leave that party if somebody started projecting this shit. I'm out. No, it's not worth watching. It really isn't funny enough to enjoy. Jeff Fahey.
The Forbidden Zone or Jeff Fahey?
If you know somebody that recommends the Forbidden Zone, you should end the friendship, is my feeling. Lawnmower Man is just worthless. It's like, why does this even exist? So there you have it. So, any last thoughts, Aaron, before we move on?
The fact that there was a second one is beyond my
crazy. We will not be reviewing the second one. Job's War is what it's called.
Job's War.
Yeah, pretty much. Job's War with the audience. So, thank you very much. Go to our pages across social media. We're on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Threads, TikTok, Instagram. You may be watching us on YouTube at this very moment, for goodness sake. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you?
You can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. Aaron, what is your social media situation?
My main media is the Cult of Aaron on the Insta. Join the cult. I may have some art on First Dibs and Artsy, Aaron Doherty. Check it out.
Check it out. As you know, we like to share the thoughts and feelings of our friends across social media.
Our friends we haven't met.
Haven't met yet. That's the way I like to say it.
That's growth mindset, Kevin. Growth mindset.
Let's see. Talking about our episode Hatchet from 2006. This person's name is gibberish. Needless to say, he says the Hatchet movies are awesome. So there you go. Thank you, CONV1C. This is probably just some farm in Kazakhstan. So, but thank you nonetheless.
Thank you nonetheless, friend.
Talking about
convicts series of numbers.
Pretty much. Talking about our film Ghoulies. Mark Rodriguez says that's a good movie. Abraham Lincoln, big fan.
Hey, big fan.
He gave it 3 laughing while crying emojis. So there you go. 16th president. And Jimmy the Ancient says adorable tiny little demons. So there you go. Thank you very much. Next week, we're going to be discussing the horror classic. Aaron doesn't even know what we're doing. It's called Slumber Party Massacre. So there you go. Where can we watch it? It's actually in all sorts of places.
Wait, are we doing that with the Bakersfield people?
No. We don't know what we're doing with the Bakersfield people. When we know, I will let people know.
All right.
You can watch Slumber Party Massacre on Prime, Fubo, AMC Plus, Roku with ads, free Vudu ads, Tubi, Crackle, Shudder. Trish invites her high school basketball teammates over for a night they'll never forget or survive. Boom! So send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may just talk about it on the show. So thank you very much, and be well!
Are there any horror movies about just slowly dying in a boiling hot sun because of global warming?
I imagine.
I'm looking at my computer and it says hot with a little fire symbol, and I swear blood drops coming down from it.
Well, if you're watching this on video, you see me just sweating because I have to turn off all the fans, otherwise you hear it on the microphones. So this is what we do. I'm in my own death spa right now. Bye!
Stay cool, babies.